Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us. This is the April 11th, 2013 workshop meeting of the East Fishkill Town Board. Workshop session is a little different than your regular public hearing. We sit down here, we discuss things. Technically, a town board cannot meet with the members over a quorum except in a public setting such as this. So this is like a night we just sit down and discuss with our attorney and our engineer matters that are of significant importance to the town of East Fishkill. Typically, if this was a voting meeting, we'd be sitting up at the podium up there. We'd have the microphone set up out here for the public to ask questions, but this is a workshop where we just deliberate amongst ourselves. So with that, would you please join me, rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. A couple things on the agenda tonight. Before we get started, I did want to mention under announcements, we did have a meeting with the EPA on Tuesday. The EPA, New York State Department of Health, Dutchess County Department of Health, several representatives from our federal offices, and to discuss the Ryan Drive Superfund site. We did establish that across the street we do have a goodly amount of water, enough water to supply the Hopewell Precision Superfund, and several levels of management from the EPA were there. We had actually a very good discussion on it. I think that they really endorse our source of the water. The only problem is, at the end of the meeting, the EPA pretty much said, we don't have any money in this funding cycle. So where the project goes from here, we have a source. I think that they believe in the source of being sufficient and a good source, and they've already done quite a bit of work, but and I'm hopeful that if they adopt the federal budget, they will put more money into the Superfund budget than is there now, because it appears right now everything's kind of on hold except projects that are already on the books, already moving along. So it was a good meeting with EPA, but unfortunately, until more funding comes along, and hopefully the federal budget will provide for that. So we'll see how it goes. And I would like to thank our attorney and our engineer that were there with us, and our consultants, LBG, who are developing our well fields, did a great job in all the technical analysis. So just wanted to mention that. All right, first item on the agenda to discuss is brush drop-off. Obviously an exciting subject, one we've discussed before. Because we did buy the property across the street, we don't have to lease the property to lime kiln as we had in the past. And last year we did do a brush drop-off after the storm. We would like to open it up again. With all these water issues, we've gotten a little bit behind on that stuff. So people have been calling, when are you going to open up brush drop-off? And we've made a couple ideas on charging fees, if we should charge fees, hours of operation, what we will accept. But one other thing I would like to point out that DEC came down last week, and Scott, did we actually get a formal permit for this process, or was it just?
It does not require a permit.
Okay.
We're not composting. We're not collecting strictly leaves.
Okay.
So for brush drop-off, it does not require a permit.
Good. But and now that you bring up the leaves issue, if we were just collecting bagged leaves, we would need a permit, correct?
Strictly, but if you have occasional leaves mixed in with the brush, that's not a problem.
Okay, so leaves mixing with brush is okay,
Right.
but just leaves is not okay.
Right.
Okay. You know, you think something would be simple as opening up a brush drop-off, but the state government's got a lot of rules. So, but they did sign off. We're good with that, correct?
Right. But the point they did make regarding the composting is that we have to have an end plan in place to how we're going to dispose of the mulch.
Which
Because
brings
if
me.
it sits there long enough, it
Right.
will compost, and then that creates.
Which brings me to part two. Not only are we going to have a brush drop-off, we're actually going to have a seasonal mulch pickup. So what I see happening is we'll be taking mulch. I mean, we'll be taking brush, say, May till November. We'll be chipping it, grinding it, whatever we do, letting it set. And sometime in the future, possibly the end of next year, middle of next year, we'll be actually using it for our own purposes with our topsoil and our fields. But whatever surplus we have to move.
Correct.
And we've tried to sell to wholesalers. We've tried to find large companies to purchase it, and that's difficult. So I would see that in the future we'll be having mulch pickup days.
Right.
Where we would open up to the residents of the
There's just a glut
town.
of it on the market right now, so.
there's a glut of it on the market. I can see why.
Yeah.
We've had these tremendous storms, and there's a lot of grinding going on, so, this is a two-faceted thing. This year, definitely we'll be having a brush drop-off, and then probably the following year, and on a regular cycle, we'll be having mulch pickup. So we'll see how this goes. So I know we kicked around fees. Obviously, we'll have to have somebody over there, and I don't expect to pay for the whole thing, but anything that we can recoup in fees would be good. I know Town Clerk Hooray, my secretary Gina, had worked up some things. Councilman Danke was in, shot some holes in it for me. Whenever I make a proposal, Councilman Danke likes to shoot holes in it. But anyway, so this is what I came up with, this is what I propose, and anybody else feel free to shoot holes in it. We do have this is the flyer, residential car, SUV, station wagon, or minivan, or say a little pickup, would be, well, I have a little pickup, and it's okay, it's a little pickup, would be free. Residential pickups, what I would say would be real pickups, and things like that, $5 per day. But see, I said per day, what we were considering for residents, for your normal everyday homeowner, if they paid $5, they could make several trips a day. They come in, they buy a ticket for May 2nd. And then they go there in the morning, and they bring their load, and then the guy over there would check off, okay, and then you come back, they maybe, for the rest of the day, and then when that's done, they're done for that day.
What about the commercial?
Commercials,
Per load or per day?
I'm thinking per load, because obviously a commercial, you're doing a commercial job, they're gonna pay you to get rid of it. So why do we want our taxpayers to pay to get rid of it?
I still have a huge objection, okay, for the drop-off and charging a fee.
Okay,
I think that it's the result of storms, et cetera, that it comes down, our insignia shows trees, okay? It's part of our landscape, it's part of everybody's, I think, property. And, we used to have town pickup right at the
Right, it's curbside,
homeowners,
yeah.
and we didn't pay for that.
right.
We used to have garbage day in different locations, and we didn't pay for that. Now we have to pay for that. I think in terms of the trees and the brush, I object to any kind of cost at all. I
Okay.
think it's a service.
Let me say this, and as we saw in brush pickup, we see people, especially in the first week of brush pickup, everyone's got a little pile out there.
Right.
Around the last third or fourth or fifth week of brush pickup,
Right.
we saw tractor trailers of brush in front of houses, and you says, this will have to be like 200 years of brush
Right.
from that. So I would say that in that, there was some abuse,
Correct.
okay? And that abuse was not done by the property owner, but probably by some commercial guy that's getting,
Right.
so why do we do this? Commercial or, I don't mind, you want to make it free for everybody, but for commercial, and they have to be a resident commercial, up to a 6-wheel dump, it's $15 a load.
I don't have a problem with that.
Because, again, I get back to the point where they're getting paid to haul it off.
Right.
So taxpayers, okay?
I agree.
All right,
So if you're talking a commercial business would pay,
yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
but if Nick hauls it in his pickup and he registered and it's off his yard, he wouldn't pay. That's what
Right.
you're saying.
Yeah,
But it's small.
but it's small. But when you see
Right.
somebody come in with like up to, like, say, a large truck like that, I'll sit down with Dennis and talk about what the appropriate large truck would be. We charge him $15 a load.
Well, no, even like Scott's truck. Scott's truck and my truck are the same size truck. Mine's registered technically as commercial because my business owns it.
Right.
And Scott could drive my truck and register personally
No, I
and drive down to
think,
Conecuh.
I think anything over 7,000 pounds
But that's what I'm
gross, I
thinking,
think
we
is
should go
actually
by
commercial.
size, not so much, because,
But a lot of plates are commercial.
yeah, I'm not worried
But
about
not so
commercial
much about
plates.
that, About how
Yeah.
much they bring.
It's the size of
Yeah.
the truck, so.
So remember your old
But it's
small
also, the
pickup
truck
like
can also
John's?
tow a trailer. Sometimes the trailer's twice the size of the truck.
Oh, you got that right.
And I'm willing to engage in conversation. I don't know if anybody else agrees with me or disagrees.
I
Oh,
know.
I agree. I think for the resident,
Hmm?
Right.
I have no problem making it free.
Okay.
And set hours.
Right.
you know, I'm not really for all year long either, because
No.
then somebody's
Okay.
gonna clear their yard all year long like they used to.
That's somebody like, my wife would like me to clear my yard.
Just
She would like that,
Do it
exactly.
one
yeah.
weekend.
Yeah.
Get away with it.
All right, I have no problem. You just want to do it for free for town residents. Commercials, we'll set aside for the truck $15 a load.
Could I just ask a question? Sure. On the commercial, though, what prevents a commercial from another town to come here and use our drop?
They'd have to be a commercial
Resident.
resident, commercial.
But still, if they're a residential, if they're a
Or,
resident
okay,
of the
and
town
this
with
is,
a
you know, this
commercial
is how
business
complex
that
just a
picks
little
up,
item can be.
picks up
So-
brush in another
I know.
town.
You always start the conversation like this. You always do that to me. You do that.
But he has to pay.
What about this?
But what should he pay if he's collecting brush
No, well,
from
let me
somebody
say
in
this.
Beekman or?
What would happen if he got a letter from a
load.
homeowner in the town of East Fishkill saying, I'm collecting?
Well,
Okay,
it brings us back to a resident. If it's the brush being generated off
yeah,
a resident's yard, that
Okay.
should be for free.
Why wouldn't a resident
But-
get the permit, and then it doesn't matter if the truck brings it?
you know, this is why I love having professionals.
But that would work. That system.
It really
would
works
work.
for me.
So
Why
if
don't we?
I'm a homeowner, I'm gonna hire a contractor to come get the materials, I
But
have
the
to come
resident's
in.
not paying.
Get
Oh,
the
the resident would have to
ticket.
get
I
the
would have
pay
to
for
get a
the.
permit or
vehicle.
something, that then the,
Why don't we have the resident get the permit, then we're good
Right.
with
and
that.
that permit has to be given to the trucker.
To the-
who brings in the
Okay,
material.
Good
that,
idea,
that
Tom.
works. But they're still
One
gonna
per
have to get,
load.
what?
One per load.
One
So you
ticket
can't-
per
One per
load.
load,
Ticket per
yeah,
load, yeah.
okay. Well, let me just go this route, then you're gonna have the resident come in, but they're not gonna pay anything for it. But they're gonna come in, show their residency, they're gonna get a ticket for one load, they're gonna give it
Because
to
then you're
Joe.
regulating the source of the
Yeah,
material.
they'll give it to Joe Truck Driver and he'll come drive it in, we're okay
You
with that.
really only wanna treat materials generated within East Fishkill.
Absolutely.
People bring-
But we're talking about six-wheel dump trucks, right?
Yeah, nothing bigger.
But a lot of commercial guys use full-size pickups like Peter
Mm-hmm.
and Scott's,
They'll have to get, I guess they'll have to get,
$15 pass.
Yeah, $15 pass.
I would think,
If it's commercial.
If it's commercial.
Yeah.
Because we're not gonna have tickets for the, obviously, the residents are free.
Right.
So, if we're gonna charge them $5 on nominal fee, we still have to get tickets and still have the person in the clerk's office
Yep.
taking the money and then giving them.
Guy out there
There's a lot
checking.
of-
Why don't we say $5 for a full-size pickup period? And it's a nominal fee. Everybody else free, six-wheel dump trucks, 15.
With the
Per
ticket
load.
from the resident. Resident getting the ticket, right?
resident comes and gets a ticket. Now you wanna charge them $5?
And he's saying for a full-size pickup.
For a full-size pickup,
Oh, for a full-size pickup.
all day. That's a heck of a deal.
Isn't that what I said first thing when I opened this thing up?
All day?
All
You gotta be
day?
He
careful
always
with
does
that
this.
one
Scott,
day
if you
thing.
tow your
You could
trailer,
run all over the place picking
Yeah.
up brush.
Scott, if
That's
you
true,
tow the
too.
trailer, you don't have to
Per
pay.
load, per
Yeah.
load.
All right, I'm fine with
Unless you want to
that.
make that, it should be a nominal fee.
Should be a nominal fee, because
Well,
we
we
do,
closed.
we do have some expenses. So if you don't mind, what I'm gonna do is put together a little bit about what we talked about here tonight. I'm gonna email it to everybody, because we have to pass a resolution to set these fees at the 25th meeting. We'll open up the brush drop-off. I would like to do that on May 1st, if that's okay.
Now, how many days a week are we going
Well,
to?
that was my next question. What do you guys think about days a week? We just beat the fees to death. Let's beat the
Well,
days.
I put forth a Saturday and maybe a day during the week, a Tuesday. I don't think we have to have it open 6 days a week or 5 days a week.
No, I would think 4
Without a-
myself.
Yeah, I would say 4.
Why don't we do it this way? Let's do it 4 days a week to start, and then we can see how it goes. I mean, because right now, a lot of people are calling, a lot of people are doing their spring cleanup.
We could always
And
curtail it.
then we could always adjust it later on during the,
What hours?
you guys talk about that one. Take some notes here.
And just one other thing, if I may. I
Oh,
know,
my
like with rural
goodness.
karting, and I don't necessarily agree with this,
Right.
but just the idea. When you buy your ticket, it's only good for 1 week. Now, I don't know that a week is enough of a period, but you may want to limit it to 2 weeks or 3 weeks, not just indefinitely. Something to think about.
Well, I thought we said it's a daily ticket.
No, but if I come in today and buy my ticket, how long is that ticket good for? before it expires.
Gonna use it next week. not
Oh,
this week.
okay.
In the case of Royal, if you pick it up Monday, you have to use it by Saturday. So
Okay,
if something
Can I-
pops up,
All right.
you can't get there, but
Yeah, you gotta be a little more lenient. with the
lenient with that, I
residents,
agree,
yeah.
but maybe a month, but you don't want to leave it
I would say 2
necessarily.
weeks. I would say 2 weeks. That should give you enough time to plan, you're gonna do your cleanup.
2
Would
weeks
it
from the
be
date of purchase.
possible?
Right.
Even if the people are not paying,
Mm-hmm.
okay, for the cars and station wagons, et cetera,
Right.
that they also get a tickets, and then we would know how many people would, and how many people we would have?
I mean, if they're gonna
Or
be,
that, you know, we would see, we
Well-
issued 200 tickets.
right. I would say this, why do we do that for the ones that are free? They just go in, and he'll
Show
keep,
their-
he'll
Person
keep,
can keep track of
and he
it.
can keep track.
You can keep a lot.
No, I'm
Yeah.
just saying, we would know how many days we would
Oh,
need to
okay.
get. You're saying
Yeah.
4 days,
Mm-hmm.
but suppose we only got, 50 people, okay?
Yeah.
So we're gonna be open 4 days
And say,
to
wow.
service.
Yeah, we don't really need to be open.
That's my only reason, but
Okay.
let it go the other way, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but no, I think whoever's on duty there, if, say we open it to start 4 days.
Right.
Whoever's on duty there will check off, okay, I had 10 cars today, and then we go to the office, so, well, I sold 5 tickets. I'll say, gee, we don't need to keep this thing open for 4 days a
Right.
week. We could adjust it that way. But I don't think we need to have the free people come in to the clerk's office when they can just go out there. But we'll still keep running tally with whoever's out there in the field.
And
Okay.
they have to show their
Well,
proof of residency.
Yes, proof of residency, and also whoever's out there in the field is gonna be taking these tickets, so they're gonna have actually the whole snapshot.
Yeah.
Okay, times?
9 to 2, 9 to 3. I don't think
Maybe
you need
9
it
to
open
3
all
on a
day.
Saturday, and
Huh?
9 to 3 on a Saturday, 9 to 2 during the week, something like that. A little bit longer on Saturday.
Any thoughts, Nick?
Yeah, no, that's
Councilman,
fine.
any thoughts?
Maybe during the week even less,
Councilman, save me on this, any thoughts?
right?
Yeah,
Maybe 9 to 4 on Saturday, because that's
And
the only weekend
Saturday would be a
day.
longer day,
That's the only weekend day.
yeah. Okay,
And most residents, if they're gonna go for free, and they're gonna clean their yard on the weekends.
yeah, and I would be running there like at 3:30 on Saturday. I'll be roaring down the road, I'll probably get pulled over by an officer and get a ticket and miss brush drop off because they closed at 4. But,
Because they'll stall you till
I
3:15.
know. Okay, no, that sounds good to me. I'd like to start off with 4 days a week, just because, we're getting the calls, so we know the windstorm the other night, I just couldn't believe that one, had a lot of branches down, so, okay. I'm gonna put this together and email this around to everybody, once we get an agreement on the fees, hours, but I think we're pretty close. Then we'll set that for resolution at the meeting on the 25th. All right, and then we'll have to figure out who's gonna be running over there too, so we'll take care of that. All right, any other thoughts on brush drop off? Anything else? No? Tom, you wanna throw anything else
Tom?
out there?
Tom, you
No?
wanna
The
throw
profe-
something in
The
there?
professionals are quiet now, so, okay. Good, we'll be moving on then. Number 2 on Cablevision, I just wanted to mention a little bit about Cablevision. I don't know if anybody's watched Cablevision lately. It's not your normal Cablevision. It's been quite a change. They don't film Cablevision up in Wappingers anymore. What they do is they still kept Kerry Donovan and Donna Ryer, and I think one of the other reporters, but they go out in the field, they film everything, and then they ship it down to Long Island, where it's filmed in a studio, then it's shipped back up here to be broadcast on our Cablevision cables in our area. A little strange, I know the lady the other night, Shauna Ryan, I think her name was, she misidentified something. I think she talked about the Hopewell Precision Superfund site as being caused by a gas station leak, which I think it's something when you're not really familiar with the area, you're gonna get like little things like that. I mean, actually, the picture's good. I think that was part of the problem with the Wappinger station, was that they had to get new cameras, and corporate looked at the cost of the cameras and the cost of just sending everything down there and coming back, so. But I know that we do have our contract with Cablevision is up in 2015. They'll be coming in probably next year, start negotiations, so I thought maybe we could have something here, invite the public or get something to, when Cablevision comes in, I think the public should be able to tell them how they feel about, the service. They still do meet the leaders. I won't get called again because I kept telling the guy we weren't happy with what they did, so that's it. But they still do meet the leaders up here. But the other filming they do on the road, and they just ship it down. So we'll see how it goes. I did want to mention too, and as we've seen this before, we have no other competition for Cablevision here, and that's a problem. It seems that Cablevision has the rights to all the Frontier wires. So without anybody else having infrastructure, it looks like we will have Cablevision for the foreseeable future, so we'll see how it goes. But their contract is up in 2015, so we'll be talking. All right, that's 1 and 2. Number 3, I want to talk a little bit about Worley Homes Water. What was it? I think it was a budget meeting, 2010. We had about 40 or 50 people here from Worley Homes that were complaining about their water. Worley Homes Water being Hopewell Service Corp., not a town service, not a town-owned operated system, private system. They had legitimate concerns about their water. We've actually discussed the matter with New York State Board of Health and Dutchess County Board of Health. We had a big meeting last year and discussed a lot of the issues. Moving on, and this last January, Scott and I were up to Dutchess County Board of Health to talk about another system, and Worley Homes came up again, and that was about mid-January, and it seemed like they were going to be doing some testing and some other looking at Worley Homes Water, and they said by the end of January, but we haven't heard a thing back from Dutchess County Board of Health on Worley Homes, have we, Scott?
No, they were going to do some pressure tests, but they had problems with their equipment, and I'm still waiting for a date that might proceed. So.
Yeah. But our problems with Worley Homes Water is there's multiple problems with this. We don't own the system. The tank is very old, probably at the end of its life cycle. The distribution system's in terrible shape. And the source of water is a problem. These actually, we've quantified, Scott's done a lot of work on this system and the expense it's going to cost to get it up and running. Now, when we were here, like I said, 2010, I think around January 2011, some of the people still came to the next town board meeting. We talked about it a little bit. We walked out, and their water rates are very low. They are going up a little bit because the private company is asking for an increase. But I said to them, well, what would you do if your rates were $1,000 a year? Which very possibly they could be if we were to take it over and do it right. And some lady said, well, we wouldn't like that. So the problem is there's going to be a cost to fixing Worley Homes Water, and it's something that the people in that district will have to vote on to have happen. If we bring it out like we did with Sagamore a few years ago, we brought the people of Sagamore to lower their rates to purchase Sagamore sewer, and it went down. It didn't pass the first time around. Then the owner raised their rates, and we had a revote, I guess, a year later, and they voted for it, and we were able to lower their rates. But in this situation, where Sagamore was a new system, this system is very old, needs a lot of work. So, and it creates quite a challenge. Now, Scott, I think one of our problems when we talk water, excuse me, Bill, we're talking water. We just had that EPA meeting the other day. When we talk water, we try to look, especially with the well field across the street, with the possibility of producing 1 million gallons a day. So we're looking at a global, town of East Fishkill, global water systems, and where we need water, and we know we need water, Worley Homes, we know we need water, Revere Park. We know we need water at Hopewell Glen because we have the county issue. But again, with Worley Homes, it's a little difficult. We don't own it, but right now, the water system that could reach Worley Homes is maxed out. That's Fishkill Plains. So we got the Lake Walton wells, and Scott, we thought we got access to the Lake Walton wells from a bankrupt company, 3-4 weeks ago?
Yes.
But
And it was through our due diligence that we determined that the wells appear to have a pretty good likelihood of having influences from surface water, which requires filtration. It's not all that uncommon in a gravel well. The problem is it also has high iron and manganese. And you need to pull the iron and manganese out before you treat for the surface water. So the hope was to be able to utilize the filters at Fishkill Plains, which we just got running a couple years ago, and utilize those for that water source. However, you can't treat for the surface water until after you've treated for the iron and manganese. It means we'd have to bring that water and blend it with the Fishkill Plain water, and can now kind of contaminate that water, and then filter everything for the surface water. So it really at this point,
Yeah.
it's not gonna work.
It's not the one
It's
I'm-
just too involved, it's more than we had hoped would
Can
be
you
the
dig
case.
another well, a rock well?
Well, we had
We've
discussed
looked at that,
Yeah.
yes. There is a possibility that we could drill a rock well at
Fishkill Plains.
Lake Walton.
Or Lake Walton, yeah.
But we're still left with, the infrastructure cost of bringing it over to the filters, which we now have got some estimates in, and that's kind of on the order of about 300,000 to bring that over. So it probably makes more sense just to try to keep it confined at this point to
Yeah.
Fishkill Plains,
Fishkill
whether we do a rock well or another gravel well. But at this point, we're leaning toward just staying at Fishkill Plains.
Yeah. But one thing I would like to say, I mean, we do have the option to acquire the Lake Walton well fields, correct, Tom?
Yes, that's in the works.
Okay. I mean, I think we should move ahead and acquire the rights to them anyway. But I would say now, when we had thought that these were good, they're good producing wells, but now there's issues of filtration. So I mean, we should definitely get the option to acquire them, but keep them on the back burner. Yeah, that's what I would think. I mean, a well in the hand is worth two in the bush any day. But then I think we're gonna end up going to Fishkill Plains and doing Rockwell, if LBG thinks.
Well, again, now, as we start to look globally, one option is to drill wells at Fishkill Plains. Another option is to maybe drill another well across the street and see if we can't interconnect all the systems. And the reason you would look to come down here is because of the storage. We're still gonna need storage for Worley if we acquire, or even supply Worley. We're gonna need storage for Revere Park, and we really don't have enough storage for Fishkill Plains at this point. So if we are gonna look at it globally and bring the storage into the equation, the location across the street seems to be the best location for the
As far
storage.
as elevation and having one
Right.
central
Right.
place instead of having tanks.
Right. So
all
now you can
over.
utilize this water source across the street as well as our storage site, and that would pick up Hopewell Glen, Fishkill Plains, Bretview, Revere, and Worley. So,
So,
Yeah, Tom.
I just think in your discussing Worley, you didn't mention that you've applied for grants with the Environmental Facilities Corporation, and that so far, the only thing they're offering is a slight reduction in the loan, which,
Yeah.
and only for part of the area, not the entire area.
correct.
Yeah, we actually did apply to the Environmental Facilities Corp. It's a revolving loan fund that's subsidized by, they make loans, they get money, I guess, from the feds. They make loans and they recoup it from their payments. And we actually, I think the first, they gave us, what, $1 million something, Scott? And then after we met with
I
them
think
again.
we're around $1,300,000, $1,400,000.
Then
They
that-
were not gonna participate with the distribution,
Right,
but we did get them to add another $900,000
Yeah.
for a limited portion of distribution
Yeah.
within Worley.
again,
So we're around 2.3 right now. I
$2.3 million for that, which
And
in
again,
reality,
it's-
it's probably a $3 million job, maybe more.
so
right?
this is an interest-free loan?
No, it's
Not-
reduced
No.
interest right
Oh,
now.
reduced?
Yeah.
I think by 1/3, if I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken, 1/3.
Yeah, I mean,
Wasn't a part of it interest-free?
no, we
no.
weren't able to get to
The
that.
only way we could possibly, probably, the town would have to have a
Income survey.
survey conducted of all
Yeah.
the properties that would be in the
Yeah.
proposed water district. And if that showed great deviation from the median income of the town, then it might make it eligible for further subsidy or even no interest.
Right, and I just got some information on that. To be eligible for reduced interest, you have to have a median income of less than 83,000. And to be eligible for any type of grant, the median household income would have to be less than 55,000.
55,000, so that would be for the interest forgiveness?
Yes.
Yeah. It's possible we would have to have an income survey, so if anybody, we'd have to get a firm to go out through the neighborhood and try to figure out that this is actually the median income of that neighborhood. I mean, it's possible.
There's a sliding scale that's also associated with that, and I believe that they use a magic number of 2%, approximately 2% of your income towards, say, like your water. So if
Right.
you were making 50,000, they figure you can afford up to 1,000 a year for your water bill.
Into your water, yeah.
So I don't know how we're gonna get around a minimum of $1,000 payment out there.
Yeah, unless, I mean, one thing we have kicked around is not buying the system and just, we could sell them clean water, but that's really not gonna solve the whole problem in the system. I mean, people in the system would get clean water, we would bring it through from the
It would take
Fishkill
care of the
Plains.
storage, it would take care of the redundancy.
Yeah.
They'd be alarmed, have a backup generator.
Yeah.
The only thing that might suffer would be pressure to certain locations.
Distribution, and you'd still have the
And we're waiting for
issues
Board of
with
Health to
pressure.
get back to us on
Yeah,
Well,
I
let me,
thought the pipes there were,
very old.
old and small, which
Yeah.
leads
Right.
to decreased pressure.
I thought they were deteriorating.
Well, I don't know of any history of
Yeah,
frequent
but
breaks.
of course,
That I
we
haven't
don't
heard
know.
of, but we don't know.
We don't run it, so we don't know.
And I also think another point to make is the only reason why we have to have a concern in this is that if the operators fail to continue to operate the system by law, it automatically defaults and becomes a town obligation
Yeah,
for that area,
Yeah.
second district, but it by law automatically requires
We
the
would get
board
it.
to take over its
Yeah.
operation.
yeah.
so when you talk about the amount of water, you said potentially 1 million gallons a day across the street.
Right.
So if you take Worley and Revere Park and Fishkill Plains and Hopewell Glen, what would they need a day?
And the Hamlet.
And the Hamlet?
Yeah, round number, max day, 500,000.
Oh.
400,000 or
so
500,000, we have plenty.
Yeah.
So there's still
That's
enough
as
reserve
far
for
as
Ryan Drive.
supplementing what's already being generated
Yeah.
at Fishkill Plains, yeah.
So, well, and the other thing, Tom, the other thing is they are constituents. So if we can help them, the water, and it's difficult, I mean, we're the only ones really could help them with this. I guess they could go to Dutchess County Water and Wastewater, but
That's
I
not
really,
gonna work.
I think that we're the ones that can do it. I don't think they can do it, so. So we'll see what happens. I don't want people in Worley Homes to think we've forgotten them, but this whole thing with not having ample source and not having storage.
Yeah, It's very,
It's a
involved and
challenge, yeah.
detailed, and we had talked about modeling,
Yeah.
and we really need to do that townwide modeling and make sure we go in the right direction, not just for now, but for the next 20, 30 years.
Well, let me ask you this. I think modeling is so important. Do you think we'd be able to have, we could look at a couple firms for the next town board meeting, possibly get some idea who we could get to do this modeling?
Yes, yes.
We could do that. I think that would be good, maybe for the 25th meeting.
I
But-
would just say, is there anywhere, way we should check the distribution? Because, bringing the water, the cost of that, and then we find out at the last minute that all new pipes have to be brought in.
Well, I mean, it's already suspect. It's built in the 60s,
Okay.
transite pipe, 3-inch, 4-inch, 6-inch, it's all undersized pipe.
Okay.
I mean, the reality is it should be replaced.
Yeah,
Problem is, it's a $4 or $5 million project to go in and replace everything, so it's a very substantial
yeah.
thing.
So it really is a balancing. You want to make it so the people in the district can afford it
Right.
and do the best job. Now, we had talked about actually, if we had to keep the distribution in place that's there to solve some of the pressure issues, maybe put booster pumps at certain elevations.
It's tricky, because, it's operating right now at a certain pressure,
Mm-hmm.
and we start boosting that pressure to reach certain people,
We
or
could
we're
have
gonna
problems.
start creating
Other
problems within the
problems.
system. So
Busting
it's a-
pipes, as they say.
It's a delicate thing out there.
Yeah. Or, and as we looked at other systems, we could put into place a program where over the years, we can do so many linear feet of pipe a year, something like that. But
First
from-
thing is a source and a reliable source. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
Clean water, reliable. That's the first step.
Yeah.
Then we'll have to acquire it somehow.
It would make sense, but, if you look at, like, we have Brettview, for years, Brettview, we purchased water for Brettview from Fishkill Plains. So if we acquire it, yes, or if it would be cheaper if we just supply the water under contract. It would be cheaper for the homeowner until they walk away from the system, and then we end up getting it anyway. So it's kind of a complex situation. But then when we look at this, you talk about developing the fields across here, now we have to get this up to Fishkill Plains to tie in up there.
We're looking at the easement.
The easements, we can get
The
up
county
there.
reached out to me today, so we're gonna try to set up a meeting next
Oh,
week to
good.
look at the easements, yes.
Excellent, so we can get this done, but it's gonna take some thought, but thank goodness we have 1 million gallons a day across the street, so we can take care of this, so. Again, I didn't want the Worley Homes people to feel left out, it has been, quite some time, but it's a complex, and you don't wanna just do that and then find out, well, gee, had we done it this way, it would have served more people, it would have served other areas of the town, so it's trying to look at, like Scott says, from a global perspective. But, obviously, if we ask Dutchess County Water and Wastewater to help us, it'd probably give them county water, which is the final thing to talk about on the agenda.
Well, we have to have a meeting with the Worley Homes people.
Right.
Yeah,
See what
yeah,
they're, given the options,
yeah.
and
Yeah, I
what
would
the
think that-
approximate cost would be, and what they're willing to,
I would like to go through with the modeling and, finalize a couple different alternate,
I'm thinking
scenarios. So maybe
summertime?
in about 3 months, I'm
Yeah.
gonna say something on that order.
Yeah.
Because we're gonna have a ballpark idea, money-wise,
Yes.
because we're anywhere from 3 million up, aren't we?
If you replace their whole distribution, yeah.
Yeah.
We
I really
would-
want to get the results back from Board of Health in terms of their pressures,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know.
And we have to be very careful with that pressure, but it's foreseeable future.
Right. You know, one thing, if we do acquire it, is to put to a vote and say, you know, you got package A, package B, package C, and
Yep.
each of these packages have an associated annual cost,
Yeah.
and each of these packages are going to give you X level of
Yeah,
service, so.
yeah. And let them make the decision.
Let
It's
them
really
make
up
the
to them.
decision.
'Cause how many people are in that district?
140,
138 homes.
38, yeah.
Plus the commercial business, Hopewell Provisions.
We'll see. I mean, it's, thank goodness we have it. Now we just have to put this whole thing together, because we have Revere Park, and the Hamlet's maxed out.
Board of Health wants Revere Park hooked up this year.
Yeah.
We are installing meters at Fishkill Plains. We're about a third of the way through. Historically, once the system is metered, we reduce the consumption by about a third, which will take care of Revere Park, but it still doesn't leave us enough for Worley.
Yeah, yeah. So, thank goodness for Revere Park, we only have like 15 foot of pipe put in the ground, because we already run the main
Well, I
up
mean, we have an
there.
understanding with Board of Health that if we do run into an emergency, we can't make that
We can
connection.
connect in a day, yeah. So, we'll see how it goes.
If I could just comment, in the 8 years I've been on the board, John Jay students have been coming to our meetings and have always acted in a very mature manner. I don't see that from a lot of people tonight. With the cell phones out, sodas being brought in, candy being distributed all over the place, and no attention being paid at all to what's going on at the meeting, which is the intent of your participation in government teachers, correct?
Anybody have any
I don't
thoughts
know
on
if-
that?
I don't know if they're from John
Well-
Jay, this group here.
Well, wherever you're from.
What school are you
That's
guys
the
from?
intent. And I'm not talking to everybody. I see some people doing exactly what your teachers expect to be done, and that's to pay attention to the meeting and take notes and act in a mature manner. But I see somebody right in front of me passing out candy and talking and on the cell phone the whole meeting. So I just wanted to say.
Thank you,
that.
Councilman.
I'm not happy with that, and that I'm surprised because Jay students have always been very, very.
Very respectful, yeah. Thank you, Councilman. Real quick, last thing on the agenda I did want to discuss a little bit was Dutchess County Water. Everybody's read in the newspapers how we had that meeting up there with Dutchess County Water and Wastewater. We had City of Poughkeepsie, Town of Poughkeepsie, who really formed the Joint Water Board, who supply the water in the Dutchess County water line, which we get in Hopewell Glen and which they get in Hyde Park. The meeting was kind of an eye-opener to see how the Joint Water Board operates. I mean, the county executive, to his credit, pushed them along to make a decision to set a deadline for a time where they're going to come back with a deadline for what they were going to do about this situation. So the city and the town, as Supervisor Tancredi, the town of Poughkeepsie, said to me, we don't need East Fishkill. So I said, Supervisor, thank you very much. But they have probably, I think what we see is a $17 million fix to filter the water they get from the Hudson River and we get down here at Hopewell Glen. That being said, I think that really makes it more sense for us to develop our local sources. And we do have a contract, Tom, I think we have a contract on behalf of Toll Brothers and Hopewell Glen for the water to purchase from the county, correct?
But that's capped at 50,000 gallons now with options to take more, and the 50,000 would not do the whole community.
Okay. So it's an option where we don't have to purchase the next 80,000 gallons a day that we're slated for. And would there be any way, I mean, we could look at
Well,
it.
we're looking at least giving them preliminary notice that we're concerned with the potability of the water.
Mhm.
And there is a specific standard that they have to fail to meet potability for 15 consecutive days.
Okay.
And that hasn't occurred yet.
Yeah.
So,
And as we know, as I found out on March 8th, and I think most have found out on March 8th, the issue is trihalomethane, which is from Hudson River water, and it's a seasonal issue, really bad, I think probably July, August, September, and October. It's temperature related, it has a lot to do with the detritus and the leaves in the water reacting with the chlorine on the way down the pipeline. As we're seeing this, we learned about it March 8th. I was really very surprised to find out they've known this is a problem for 9 years.
You gotta be
So
careful.
what really blew my mind was that here we are just getting served a notice about something these guys, and that's why I find it a bit ludicrous that the county executive can only get them to set a date to make a decision when they've been wrestling with this for 9
So
years.
what is the date?
They haven't set the date yet. They're gonna be called back to another meeting, and again, I have to thank County Executive Molinaro, because he understands the seriousness of this issue, and to be pushing to have a date in a few weeks. I think around June 1st, you want to have the next meeting sometime, you can notify us.
And then we also fell victim, I think, to the note, when the notice came to us that there was a problem with the test, we were told, our operator was told immediately to send out this very severe and frightening notice to the residents of that community. And in actuality, that notice did not have to go out. In actuality, what the bad test triggered was that we should have gone into monthly testing.
Quarterly.
Quarterly testing
Yes.
from manual testing. And the notice did not have to go out, and it wasn't until the meeting the supervisors referring to that they actually indicated that while they thought it was a good idea to notify people, which
Yeah.
is true,
Yeah.
but it could have been done a little differently and probably less frightening to the people that the notice they got really must have left them with the feeling that every day they washed or
Yeah.
drank the water, they had a problem, and that wasn't
Yeah.
so.
And again, talking about this water, I mean, we did have a goof up in our testing and our reporting back in, I think it was the end of October when we missed the report. Scott, was the MCL for the maximum contaminant limits for trihalomethane, 80?
80.
80.
And
And
the way
we,
the reading is basically 320 for the year. So they do like a rolling four-quarter
Right.
average.
yeah,
But we haven't reached 4 quarters yet. Our first reporting period was September.
right.
So.
But we had
if you-
hit, what?
Well, they got alarmed because it was over double.
169.
It was over double the limit, and that's why they.
But when we
felt
were finally allowed to retest, it came in at 40.
40,
And it's been, I think we've done two other tests since then, and it's been
all in the 40.
consistently 39, 40.
But we're historically in the low point of the curve when it comes to the levels
Um,
seasonally.
Seasonally, yes. So as well as we know this is gonna come up again, come the end of the summer with the hot temperatures and stuff, the trihalomethanes is gonna, reach a peak, probably unfortunately over the MCL. But this year, it's looking like the city and town of Poughkeepsie are gonna probably exceed their limits too.
And then they'll
So-
start to move.
Then they'll start to move. But what kills me is they're talking about, once they make a decision on the decision, they're talking 4 years to install the filters. Where we've actually discussed, if we were to do our project across the street, we may be able to have water to Hopewell Glen 2 years possibly.
Yes.
We're comfortable with 2-year horizon for us. So I hate to sit around and wait for the county, with something that we can do here that we really don't need to, depend on them, other entities doing
And
this.
the other benefit would be, there is the take or pay at Hopewell Glen, which is very expensive.
Very expensive.
And at some point, we're gonna have 300 homes tied into a system that charges a lot for the water, so that would be another
Yeah.
benefit of.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. Their contract, I would presume, Toll Brothers contract with the county?
No, actually, it's the Hopewell Glen Water District with the county, because it's a public water district, so the contract is in the name of
Of the
the
town.
Hopewell Glen Water District.
Which is owned by residents of Hopewell Glen?
Correct.
Okay. Their contract then with the
Yes.
county, does it state that it has to, is that what you were talking about, meet certain standards?
Correct.
And if it doesn't?
Correct. And if it doesn't,
So-
then you have the right to cancel.
Okay.
But the level of failure, we haven't.
We haven't reached that yet.
According to the contract.
Well,
Well,
it reads,
one
it reads
trigger-
15 days
Yeah,
continuous,
15
and we'd have to
continuous
monitor
days.
for 15
And
continuous
you
days.
also have to, if a regulatory authority said that it fails, and this water does not fail the standards because it's it's the 4-quarter average.
Well, but they entered into a contract knowing that there was a problem.
Well, I think we do have other issues because as John, the supervisor indicated, the county, and who we are directly in contract with, knew about this problem for 9 years. They entered into the contract with us, I think it's only in 10 or 8.
10, yeah.
When the district was created, nothing was
Never
revealed
said
to us
anything.
about that.
Yeah,
And so I think that would be another issue to be
Okay.
looked at.
The one other twist to this is that they knew they had the problem, they switched over to chloramines.
Yes.
And at one point, when we were looking at that as a possible source for Ryan Drive, the chloramine issue came up.
Right, right.
Maybe caused rash, et cetera.
Yeah,
So what happened with, and that was they switched to that because it eliminated the trihalomethane.
Right.
That's why they switched to that.
Yeah.
But what they found out, it was
Reacting with the
havoc
lead.
with the lead
Yeah.
pipes.
it created a lead issue.
And that became a real issue in the city of Poughkeepsie with all the lead pipes in the old building. So after a couple of years of trying that, they went back, or forced really, to go back to chlorine. So they know what
They knew.
chlorine brings,
Yeah.
you
Well,
know.
the Water and Wastewater Authority has done really well, I think, the county.
I saw in the Poughkeepsie Journal the other day, they had a big article from IBM on the front page, and they had the breakdowns of what City of Poughkeepsie, Town of Poughkeepsie, and Dutchess County get. And City of Poughkeepsie, because they have a surplus of water, wow, they get a lot of money at pumping 2 million gallons a day down to IBM. So, yeah, but again, the fix is a $17 million fix, and that they're very
And of
very
course, the
slow.
problem is, as the paper revealed, we were advised by IBM that they haven't been able to use the water in their manufacturing process because of the organics in the river not being filtered out.
Yeah.
So they have not utilized this water to the extent that they would like. In fact, they have to waste water
They use
on
about
the
2/3
sides
of what they purchase.
to kind of move it, help try to move it through the pipe so that this chemical reaction doesn't occur as bad.
Yeah.
Even though they're paying for it.
And they're paying for
Yeah, and they're paying for it. But theirs is a different situation. I mean, when you look at IBM and the scale of what they're working on with these components, I mean, like, a water molecule electron is kind of fat on their terms. I mean, that's the scale they're working at. So to work at that scale, you need very good water. This is not what they really need,
And
so.
how much are they getting from the county, do we know?
2 million gallons
2
a
million
day.
a day.
A day?
They take or pay for 2 million, which is, yeah, $2 million.
And I believe
How
they're
how
supplementing
good
with
are
their
our
welfare.
wells?
Well, we can't
I know,
can't
I know.
quite go that,
Yeah.
Well, we have an extra 500,000
Yeah, I know.
according to this.
Yeah, you never know. You
Are we
never-
gonna be flushing
we will be, yes, yes.
starting?
Yeah.
Well, right now, we're gonna do month, even though the requirement is quarterly, we're doing, right now, we're on monthly tests, because the numbers are so low. And as, on a monthly basis, when we start to see them rise, we'll then go to weekly and daily if need be, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you know, Bill, again, that's kind of part of the problem. If anybody had said to us, hey, there's a problem here, we could have started a very ambitious
Flushing.
flushing program June,
Yeah.
June, July, and August. Maybe we wouldn't have, maybe we still breached MCL, but maybe it wouldn't have been that bad.
And then we also learned that there was a test that failed in August that the county conducted at the entry point into our system.
Well,
And that was never
never revealed to us, so. Anyway, I think the best thing is to get off the county water. Hopefully, we'll be able to resolve this and get our global water system. And actually, back in 1988, Morris Associates did a huge study on what they call the high range and low range, combining all these water systems, which
Yes.
really, that's where we are right now.
Yes, that's what we're heading towards.
So, we'll get there. You know,
So the
I'm sorry.
county's
How
trying
much
to
water
help.
they have over Hopewell Glen?
I'm sorry?
Doesn't Hopewell Glen have water?
Yeah, they have good
They have
wells
2
out there,
wells.
and we've acquired them.
And we've acquired them.
But our concern had been with the plume from the Hopewell Precision heading down that way. So
It
didn't
had
want to start
reached there, but
drawing.
there was no guarantee that
Yeah.
in 5 or 10 years it wouldn't.
Yeah.
Although now we're hearing that it seems to be,
EPA is
lessening.
saying that
Lessening.
it's
Yeah.
contracting instead of expanding, and the levels of TCA and TCL have gone down significantly in the test wells, so. I mean, there's a possibility we could bring them on, but that are still a little bit. But across the street looks really good. So, anyway, you know, Bill, when we took office, 2006?
Yeah.
We had Sagamore, we had Presidential Way, and we had Fishkill Plains. We finally fixed Fishkill Plains water last year. Thought we were done, but we're not.
It's never.
Never done with water, so. All righty, that's really all I wanted to bring you guys up to date. We will be getting the people together, a firm to do the modeling for us.
yes, yes.
Because once we get the modeling nailed down and the locations and the
Right,
wells.
and we start putting budgets to everything and start coming up with
Yeah.
some hard plans.
Okay, and we'll, if we can, the April 25th, if it has to go to the end of May, that's fine too. We won't rush it, but I would like to get moving on that if we
Yes.
can. All right, that's everything for discussion. I really thought brush drop off would take a little longer, but we wrapped that up pretty quickly. So with that, I would just ask town board members, if they have any comments, any thoughts on anything? Peter, how's Highway doing?
Highway's doing good, but town cleanup went really good. One for
Yeah?
Town cleanup went good. I'd say we probably had 80 to 100 people there. Put a good load in the dumpster.
Yep.
Special thanks to Hopewell Hot Bagels for supplying breakfast, East Fishkill Provision for supplying lunch, and Royal Karting for supplying the dumpster. And
Yeah.
thanks to the groups that showed up.
Yeah, we went out, and I think it was the biggest turnout I've ever seen since I've been doing it. And I tell you, the town looks really good. I mean, there are some sections that hadn't been done, but for the most part, I think everybody did a really good job, cleaning up the town. It's always a nice thing. And I would like, again, I got to echo what you said about East Fishkill Provisions, Royal Karting, and Hopewell Hot Bagels. These are three businesses that are always there to support us with whatever we do, so really good stuff.
Went good. One guy got his road all cleaned up. The highway came in Monday and picked up the last couple bags. The guy came home Tuesday and somebody had dropped a whole load of stuff on the end of the road on the way into the development.
It was in Fishkill Road.
That was up in the mountain. No.
Really?
But Dennis went back out and picked it up.
What I would like to see, and what we have seen, there's two issues we can do. If people are dumping trash, sometimes our police department will actually pick it up, find an envelope, and we will cite them. We will ticket them, take them to court, which I think is very appropriate for that sort of a thing. Or, if we catch you, then our police department is always very helpful with town cleanup. And one year I know they were cleaning up down by Limekill and somebody would buy threw something out, some big carton or something. Well, you don't do that with 10 cops walking down the road, so they radioed in, they got the guy, and he ended up getting a ticket and cleaning it up. But, it is just, it is a crime. And we established that, we established a litter law some years ago. So, no, very good, and town looks really good.
Yep.
In terms of, the new better weather coming in, we had passed the law about sending, if people are not taking care of their property, that we will then
Yep.
go in and bill them. Where does that stand? Is that passed? Is it-
Yes, it's
Okay.
all
Yeah.
back.
So it,
Yeah, we passed it, and I think we looked at a couple properties already, because unfortunately, with the economy the way it is, and I talked with Tom, there are certain notifications that we have to
Okay.
do first. And again, it's always hard getting the banks, but we will be doing that
okay.
in the next couple months. Councilman Del Sandro, anything?
Just our zoning board of appeals closed the public hearing on the cell tower application, and now they have 62 days to make their decision, so.
Good, good. One thing I would like to thank our legal team, our zoning board of appeals, and the gentleman, our radio frequency expert. These are very good people, and I'd say one thing, this is the first time this application was really reviewed thoroughly as far as the radio frequency expert,
Engineering, yeah.
and they've done a great job. So we'll see how it goes. But I got to tell you, I think everybody did their due diligence on this one.
Very thorough they were.
Yeah, good. And I tell you what, I think our planning board and our zoning board are really doing a terrific job. It's a very important boards for the
Yeah,
town, so it's great.
It's a tough job. The volunteers do a great job. so
They really do.
We appreciate that very
Yep.
much.
Councilman Danke, anything?
Yeah, on April 25th, which is 2 weeks from tonight, and sadly, we have a town board meeting that night, the Exchange Club of Southern Dutchess is going to hold their annual police, firefighter, and EMT Hero Award Dinner at the Grand Hotel, which we generally attend. And this year, we have honorees in two different categories. One, Detective Gaston, Detective Wood, Detective Ryan Angeletti, Detective Dodato, Detective Dowdy, and Detective William Toledo, who's from the town of Poughkeepsie, are getting an award for recognition for teamwork within a squad. What it was the surveillance on the mountain where they caught the home invasion individual who had invaded a home, and they had an ongoing surveillance, and finally, with the help of the town of Poughkeepsie the task force, and I think the sheriff's department also
I think,
helped.
yeah.
But they caught the person. And then Officer Ralph Bertoli, Ralph Bertoli and Canine Officer Victor are going to be recognized for lifetime achievement.
Wow.
Victor is our canine dog, and he is retired as of January 1st, so they will be recognized that night of the grant. They were going to be recognized at our town board
Yeah.
meeting, but obviously we'll put that off until May,
Yep,
I would
yep.
assume. So that's
Yeah,
all.
no, I gotta tell you, I didn't know we had, I thought that was a new detective you threw in there. I didn't know we had that many detectives. I said, where did this Taylor come from?
Ethel's blood pressure
Yeah.
was going up.
Yeah, no, very proud of our police department, and they do a great job. And that thing, solving that thing with the home invasion, that was good police work doing that. And Ralph and Victor have always done a great job, and we're sorry to see Victor retired. Wish him well in retirement, so we'll have them come in.
Did you want to cancel the meeting so we could go to the dinner?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
supervisor
Would
could
you
do
guys,
that.
would you guys stop that? You can't.
Second. All in favor? We're done.
Wait a second, did we have a second on that? No, we'll be
We
here.
can't, it's not a voting meeting tonight, so.
We'll be here, thank you.
We
Change
The
that.
clerk's,
We can have the engineer and the attorney come to the meeting.
the clerk's not here
Stay
tonight,
here.
so that was an unofficial vote. So, all right,
Just,
I gotta tell you though, with the water stuff, we'll be working on that for the next several months of getting that squared away.
the only thing I just wanted to add, to update the board, is with the wildflower force main, all the pipes in, pressure tested, the pumps are in. Right now, we're just waiting for the controls to arrive and to complete the wiring. So we're hopeful by around the 1st, we can start doing our startup.
Around 1st of May?
Yeah,
Good.
that's what we're shooting for
Good.
right now.
And Scott, one question, how is their system over there at Wildflower, still holding up?
Still holding up. They had a mechanical repair some months ago. A pump impeller went bad, not too bad, all things
Okay.
considered. So other than that, they've been
Good,
holding up.
good. So May 1st, they can retire their plant and they'll be
Well,
out
that's what we're
town.
shooting for first startup, and, sometimes you have a few bugs here and there, but we
Okay.
had said prior by Memorial Day, and I think we're well on our way to meeting that date.
Good. All right, if that's it, any other business to come before the board? With that, I'd like to thank the board for being here tonight. Next town board meeting is the voting meeting will be April 25th, 2013. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, for coming.